Hey, we need to have a talk about sugar. Um, so I just graduated from Johnson and Wales in culinary nutrition for my bachelor's degree, and I have two associate degrees, one in baking and pastry and the other in culinary. So I know a thing or two about food. I love to eat. I love to go out to eat. I um, love to travel and eat. Anything that has to do with food is my passion. Some serious issues with the sugar, and no one's doing anything about it. No, people are doing things about it. um, I just, I get very fired up about these kind of things, and I just want to basically get angry and yell at everyone. So first, I'm going to talk about the history of sugar because it wasn't like it was just chilling in the supermarket back in the day, aka, like 530 AD. Those were the good old days, I know. But we need to discuss where this came from first. The root of the problem. Cheerio and good day to you. We're here in the age of the 16th century to trade some sugar. It's hard. It's expensive. Luckily, I come from a good long line of wealth, thanks to my student loans that I don't have to pay. Just kidding, I do have to pay them. But my family is fortunately very wealthy, so I'm able to afford sugar. And we just went into New Guinea and got it. I'm very happy I'm making this vlog in the year 1563. But we just got the sugar in, and I think for my 23rd birthday, I think my father's going to get me a sugar sculpture, so lucky me. So that's where sugar came from. And there's also a lot to sugar that I didn't even know about until I went to school. There's tons of different kinds. You have fructose, glucose, galactose, lactose. There's so many of them, but what the hell does that all mean? Because quite frankly, I didn't know, and I don't even think I still know. I'm just kidding. I know. They're basically all different chemical compounds of sugar. So if we look at it from a sciencey aspect, they're all different bonds and little molecules put together. And they all have different levels of sweetness. In all those fancy terms, what the to our body? Because our innate nature in the human body is to know that sweetness is okay for us to eat. If you see a berry in the forest, I mean, not these days, don't do this, but back in the day, before our girl went to the triangular trade routes, it was okay to eat berries because they were sweet. And it was sweet, and we discovered that through trial and error in the human history. And you know what? Apparently, since the beginning of time, we thought that that was okay, and we've took it to the next freaking level because that's what we do, right? But here's the real issue with sugar. It's not that it's just bad for us, and it's not that it's sweet, and it's not that it's in Oreos. It's the real issue. It causes disease, and it's not just from your first bite, and it's not just from one bite of it. It's from continuously eating it in things we don't even know that we're consuming it in. Obviously, people talk about nutrition a lot more these days, but it's in soda, it's in bread, it's in coffee, it's in everything that we have. It's almost impossible to avoid unless you're literally growing your own produce out in your backyard, which is hard if you live in an apartment and you don't have a yard. But anyway, it causes many issues like heart disease, diabetes, cancer, everything, I would say. So these are the leading issues of death in America and in the world, which is why it's so important. But you can't just quit. One time I tried quitting the sugar. It didn't work out, and here I am. Here I am smoking it again. The sugar. It's not that easy to quit. In fact, it's super hard to quit and just even cut it out of your diet a little bit. It's very addicting. There have been many studies done, not to hit you with even more science because, you know what, it's freaking Friday and we don't have time to learn anymore, guys. We're graduated. We don't learn anymore. Here's the deal with sugar. Many tests have been done on rats. I don't know why they're doing this to rats. Clearly, the the humans have figured out that it's not okay for us. But the rats know best, so we go with the rats. So the rats had an IV of cocaine hooked up to their little rat arms, and they were pumped with it for like a few days, a week. I don't know, however long it takes for rats to get addicted to cocaine. Scientists were like, all right, now we're going to give you an IV of sugar for the next week or whatever. So they give them the IV of sugar, and guess what? They got addicted to the sugar quicker, faster, and more aggressively. We're talking about hardcore drugs here. I mean, this is no like, oh my god, I'm addicted to singing this song. I don't know what. Whatever you're addicted to. This is sugar. This is things we're consuming. These are things that are legal in our country. Now, I'm not blaming America for all our problems. Should the FDA limit things? Yes. Should we not eat as much? For sure. Is it our fault? I mean, we have access to it, so it's everyone's fault. It's my fault. It's your fault. It's probably my dog's fault, too, for some reason. It's definitely my brother's, sisters, neighbors, grandmothers, nephews, uncles, husbands, hamsters, sisters, brothers' fault. Ourselves for now, since we are the ones who are consuming it. But the 2015 guidelines, which are good for 5 years, are telling us that we should limit our sugar intake to 10% or less per day of total calories. Honestly, I mean, 2,300, 10% of that, 230 calories of sugar is all we're allowed to consume per day. Now, that's kind of a lot when you think about it, but also not a lot. Think about if you have a glass of milk, that's sugar. If you have any fruit, that's sugar. If you even think about having a piece of bread, that's sugar. It's everywhere, and it's so addictive. No wonder why we're literally addicted to it. It's so hard to get away from it. And the thing with all these fake sugars, too, fake sugars are fake news, in case you haven't heard it. They're just as bad for you, because any sort of sweetness has been identified as an addictive item. So it doesn't matter if it's refined sugar, it doesn't matter if it's organic, it doesn't matter if it's coconut sugar, it doesn't matter if it's honey, it doesn't matter if it's grass-fed, USDA, cage-free, free-range sugar. It's still addictive, it's still an issue, and basically, we're screwed. No, we're not screwed, but it's just kind of bizarre to think about it, and I just wanted to honestly yell at everyone because I have a lot of bottled up anger and feelings, and this is me letting it out for you. And here are some other just mind-blowing facts for you to just go about your business with. According to some sources, I can't tell you who they are. Just kidding, I can, and I definitely will source all this at the end. But according to some sources, Americans, on average, consume anywhere between 140 to 160 pounds of sugar every year. So sip on that tea and don't put any sugar in it, because everything I just said, don't put any sugar in it. I'm crazy. I'm not a psychology major. Studies have shown that sugar will offer the same intense release of dopamine as doing hardcore drugs like cocaine. It triggers our reward neurotransmitters, which is what dopamine is. It's literally crazy. A food that we eat has the same effects as drugs. So my advice to you today is to go out into the world and anyone that is eating sugar, confront them. No, don't do that. But what you can do is honestly just take a look back at your diet. Look at your labels. Just take a little peek. Look on the menus if you go out to eat or whatever you do if you eat at home. Just take a peek. Because honestly, being slightly aware of these things is like the start to figuring all this stuff out. And it's very beneficial once you can kind of look and assess your diet and figure it out. I'm saying that I'm perfect because my favorite meal is ice cream. So take a look. Look for me. If you don't look for anyone, you don't want to look for anyone, look for me. Thank you for watching. I'm new to the whole vlog thing, so stay tuned for more fine messes to come. And please feel free to give me any feedback, positive or negative. If you want to hurt my feelings, that's fine. Builds character. Thanks.